Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday or Saturday. I don't actually know when I'm putting this live. However, Three Houses fans rejoice, because today we're going to talk about the Fayversary of Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is why we have a themed Ether Resort. Three Houses themed, I know. So enjoy as they dance about for our amusement. As we take kind of a look back, I guess, at just Three Houses banners. I'll use that in air quotes because not all of them are banners. But we're going to take a look at who we have in Fae, who's here, when they showed up, kind of what's coming. Because if you didn't catch, what did I talk about it in? Hero Tracker? I think it was Hero Tracker. There was a bit of a hint left to us that there might be some kind of big Three Houses thing that's going to be happening in the next couple weeks, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So, Three Houses launched last year. It's been an entire year, can you believe it, on July 26, 2019. I believe it was an international launch. I don't think anybody got it before anybody else, so I think it was a simul launch, which is nice. So to commemorate that, we actually got a banner in late July featuring Edelgard, female Byleth, Dimitri, Claude. And then later that month, we actually had Sothis and male Byleth showing up on that mythic banner for the month. So that was kind of interesting. Not as big of a kind of collaboration launch as they've had in the past. If you remember Shadows of Valentia, it was just like 2 months straight. I think we had like 2 or 3 Tempest Trials that were Valentian themed, and it was just Valentia burnout, I think, more than anything. But I think maybe they kind of wanted to reel it in a little bit because they didn't get the greatest response. And we all know that IS does now listen to our feedback and they're learning. So I do genuinely think that maybe the lack of Three Houses banners that we've had this year have kind of been them just playing it safe. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Early August was Hilda, Hubert, Petra, Mercedes, and then technically Kronia was like a GHB unit meant to go along with the initial Three Houses banner in July, but it didn't. I don't think she actually showed up until like the 2nd or 3rd of August, so I lumped her in to August. And then we also had Death Knight to accompany the second banner that we had, which, by the way, I'm using late and early in terms of month to express either first half of the month or second half of the month, just FYI. Late December was our next unit. We just got a single Winter Sothis in late December, and early March, which was not too long ago, but it feels like forever ago, am I right? That was Annette, Ferdinand, Lysithia, Bernadetta, and we had Flame Emperor come along in this GHB unit for that as well. And then late April, we ended up getting Legendary Edelgard. That's that. That's who we've got in the game so far. And I mean, I can't fit them all in Ether Resort, but I don't necessarily think that that's a lot, per se, given how big the cast generally is. Like it's not a small cast that they have. Sacred Stones, I feel like, is a relatively small cast in comparison. Fates is obviously a huge cast. I feel like Three Houses is somewhere kind of in the middle of that. But it is pretty large. It's a pretty large cast, and as many of you are probably apt to point out, and have done so in the past, there's a little bit of Black Eagle's bias, I believe, is what they're calling it. So BEB, the BEB, if you will. I don't know if that's true necessarily. I mean, there is obviously some favoring towards the Black Eagle house in general, but I don't think it's bias. I think it's just because of all the routes that we've seen, of all the promotional materials that they released before Three Houses came out, I feel like the Black Eagle route was it sort of paralleled that. In other words, they were staying on message both in FEH and promotional materials. And I think maybe that they didn't want to ruin some things coming up. So, for example, the latest Cypher set was Three Houses focused, right? And the other two sets that had Three Houses in it, which if you have not seen the pack openings, there are some on this channel if you want to go check them out. There haven't really been, I mean, there have been, but they've mostly been like Edelgard-centric-ish, if you will. This last set was very Blue Lions Golden Deer focused, and in fact, it had two Edelgards. One of them was kind of a giant spoiler for one of the routes involving Edelgard. So I think with Cypher, which is meant to kind of be the go-between of, hey, play this while you're waiting for mainline games to get released. Stay, interested and engaged. I think now that Cypher has kind of released the floodgate, maybe FEH is a little more willing to do that as well. And so because of that, because Edelgard is so popular, I don't know that they necessarily wanted to reveal something very important about her character, knowing that a lot of people maybe missed that on their first playthrough because they didn't pick the route that would reveal such things, if you know what I mean. So, with that said, I don't think there is bias. I think there is safety in picking the characters that they have released so far into the game. Similar with Dedue. Dedue has a certain secret in a certain route that I won't reveal for obvious reasons, but I don't think they've released him just yet because of some stuff that you might learn about them. Similar to Rhea, for example. Rhea has a secret. Don't know if you know about it, but I'm not going to tell you here. I don't think they've released Rhea because there's a lot of stuff they'd have to hop through in order to avoid certain things. It's not necessarily as easy as hiding a voice actor's name on the unit, for example. It's not something that they can mask necessarily, and there's some deep lore nonsense that could get ruined in a sense. So I feel like there's surface level spoilers, and then I feel like there's some deep world building spoilers, and I think maybe they're gonna start getting more into the deep lore necessarily. So for what that's worth, I think that's enough about the bias. I don't think there's a bias necessarily. I think, like I said, I think it's more of a safety measure that they took. So, back to banners, because I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. You're welcome. We kind of go through this phase in FEH where we have back-to-back special banners, and then we have back-to-back new hero banners to kind of get us back on the normal track of having them one at the beginning of the month and one at the end of the month. Summer is that kind of restructure period where we have back-to-back special banners, i.e. the summer banner in June and the summer banner in July. Late June, early July, they kind of back up into each other. So late July, early August, we have this new heroes double feature, if you will, similar to how we had a double feature of special. And then, of course, we also have the Choose Your Legends banner that is featured that year happen late August, or mid-August, I guess, technically, but second half of the month, so late, but it's close to like the 16th or so. So that kind of yields itself perfectly to the fact that, well, they did it last year, right? So we had the Hilda, Hubert, Petra, Mercedes banner following the initial banner of the house leaders and Byleth. I think they'll probably do that again. If they're going to do some kind of celebration with Brave Houses happening late August anyway, I feel like just kind of cutting the end of July to almost the end of August and just blasting everybody with Three Houses stuff is probably the most likely thing they're going to do. And the reason I think they're going to kind of create filler between those weeks, if you caught it, Sothis actually had a note on the Legendary banner saying that she would be returning early August. Isn't that strange? Why would she be back early August when everybody else always comes back late, insert whatever month that they're returning? That's because she's not going to necessarily be, the next time she shows up, rather, is not going to be on a Legendary or Mythic banner. Whoa, I know, crazy, right? So there's going to be some kind of banner or some kind of something focusing on Sothis in early August, which is, again, in between Brave Houses and the anniversary of Three Houses. So the likeliness of them not doing anything at this point is very, very slim. Sothis should have been returning in like September or October or something like that. But instead she's literally coming back weeks after being featured on a current banner. I don't know. That's a giant red flag. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that there's going to be some kind of banner. I don't know if it's going to be like a rerun type deal of sorts. I don't know that there could be a rerun with her just because she is a mythic hero. So I don't think it could necessarily be like a rerun of Forging Bonds or anything like that because she didn't have that. But it's weird, right? It's super weird. She will be back. There will likely be a banner of some kind. Not to mention, I think it's pretty likely they'll start blasting us with some Three Houses stuff just because when the Choose Your Legends polling happens, right, usually there's a good 5 to 7 month break between when the results come out and when those results are starting to be used to impact future banners. Everything that kind of happens in the middle of that is either pre-planning from before and they got lucky with the favorites that they guessed people might thought they like, or coincidence. One of those two things. Because they can't get poll results and then 3 weeks later have a banner featuring a unit that placed in the top 20. That's not how that works. And especially with working restrictions and things like that going on this year in particular, it's much less possible for that to happen. I mean, they couldn't even record Sayri's voice lines in English, likely because of, the COVID impact that happened. So that's not the turnaround that you should expect. The turnaround you should expect is the second half of the year, basically, to be impacted by that year's Choose Your Legends results. And as we know, they were all very Three Houses heavy. That's why we have an all Three Houses Choose Your Legends this year, which, to complicate things, was probably impacted by the fact that they kind of cooled it on the Three Houses banners that they let loose up until then. So like they gave you Winter Sothis and then everybody was just uber thirsty because they were like, dude, we didn't even get the Three Houses full banner. They just gave us another Sothis. What the heck? And then everybody went nuts. So I think with the combination of the Choose Your Legends results impact, with the fact that the anniversary is coming up, Sothis is appearing between the anniversary as well as the Brave Houses banner that's coming. It's almost impossible that we don't get something Three Houses focused for the anniversary. I think it's likely going to be back-to-back banners like we had last year. So I guess be prepared for that. I don't think anybody would be upset about it necessarily. We did just get Legendary Selef, which, again, the timing on that, let me tell you, for all the genealogy people who are like, ooh, new games, blah, those Gen 1ers, if you're Pokemon oriented, you know what I mean when I say that. Just old school reference from a previous life I held. You know that those guys, and I'm not saying everybody is like that, but just the select group who really only likes the original games and not the new ones, they're going to look at that and say, oh, well, we still don't have a Celefault, and they're giving all these Three Houses banners, bleh. Now they can't really complain too much, right? Till they want Sigurd, I guess. That could happen as well. but I think now is kind of like the time. Okay, so they feel like they've appeased a lot of older fans with Legendary Seliph. People want Three Houses. The Brave banner's coming up. The anniversary showing up. Now we feel like we have an opportunity to really, showcase Three Houses, I guess. The spoiler era is kind of coming to an end in terms of how much time we want to give. Cypher has released some pretty thought-provoking cards in terms of story and plot. So I don't know. I feel like everything is just kind of converging into one big mass of, oh, well, this is the perfect timing for that. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it will. I don't know. I wouldn't anticipate a Three Houses summer if that is the case, but maybe. Keep in mind the next special banner that we'll get after the second summer is Dance, which again is also like the White Heron Cup, for example, could be a perfect fit into a Dance banner for seasonal alts for Three Houses this year as well. So I don't know. It just kind of depends on if they want to start early or end late. I don't know. But in any case, be prepared for some Three Houses banners. I feel like they're probably coming pretty soon. And if not, and all this is wrong, and this video ages horribly, oh well, Brave Houses is still a thing, I guess. So we should be able to get a spark from that, as well as a free pick like we have in the past. So you'll be able to get at least 2 out of the 4 units guaranteed, if that's what you're really after. Yay, appeasement! Alright, that's it from me. I have talked enough at your faces, so I guess that's it. In the comments, let me know if you guys think we're going to get something special. Again, I think all of the evidence is kind of there. I apologize I didn't have any notes written up, but it's been kind of a crazy weekend. I had one hell of a time yesterday dealing with a car dealership, and after I say those words, half of you are like, yep, I understand exactly what he's about to say. So with that, I'm going to leave it there and ask you what you think we may or may not get for a Three Houses Fayversary. And thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like. We have a lot of Faye stuff coming up. Beginning of the month is always a little bit hectic, but we'll make it through together because we're awesome, I guess. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever. I don't care. Do your YouTube thing. Until then, I will catch you next time.